So, Chris, tell us how you got into the insurance business after all.
Well, COVID hit, and so a lot of things changed once that hit. We were all laid off from my previous job. So I was like, well, I need to figure out and do something. And I've always been telesales. Even when I was in high school, I worked for a newspaper, and we did selling advertising for the newspaper. Then I did mortgages at a couple of pretty big banks for 7 years. So I was always comfortable over the phone.
We're talking.
Sure. I was always comfortable over the phone, essentially. The mortgages were face-to-face. It wasn't over the phone that much. But so we lost our jobs, and I was going through the wanted ads, essentially. And I was like, healthcare, interesting. And $100,000, $500,000, $1 million. That's what you'll make.
Sounds like an insurance job. Perfect.
Yeah. So you're going to make a ton of money, right? Real quick, without dealing drugs. So that's awesome.
Well,
I was like, all right, where do I sign up? So I went to a company called United Healthcare, and it was an office setting, and everyone was in the office, and I started asking questions, and nobody was giving me any real answers. Nobody had the answers to give me. So I was like, okay. I was like, person next to me, sitting in the cubicle next to me, can't really answer any of my questions. The manager can't answer my questions. I'm like, maybe this is not for me. And I moved along, and I'm like, you know what? Who wants to learn all these medications? I was like, screw this. So I go to Symmetry Financial, if you guys ever heard them. They put on a great display. It's all on Zoom. I'm like, this is great. I don't have to see anybody's face. I don't have to go to their house. I don't do any of that. This is unbelievable. So I joined Symmetry Financial. Now, these are only for like 2 weeks, not like David Heath, where he was there for years. I saw it from space, and I was like, we're done. So I go to Symmetry Financial, and it's just these, heartwarming, great stories about how you're helping all these people. And that's really great. But this is a business. We're here to make money. That's awesome that you're helping somebody. But facts are facts here. Is it really that great that you're helping that person, but they'll cancel on you in 2 months? So it was a bunch of not learning any technical side of the policies. You didn't know exactly how great it works, first day coverage. It was just listening to these stories that you're helping people, essentially. So I'm like, this is great that everybody's helping people, and it's such a lovey-dovey place, but I still have no idea what a life insurance policy is. So I go on YouTube, just like most people here, and David Heath. I see this guy. I'm like, what's this guy going to tell me? So I start listening to him, and he's actually teaching me more on YouTube than I was in an office setting or on Zoom for 10 hours a day. This guy in Tennessee actually is answering my questions via the YouTube. So I was like, all right. I'm like, and then I see, come join my agency. I was like, shit. I was like, let's do it. I was like, if he's teaching me that over YouTube, I might as well join his agency to do that. So, and he was a little bit more hands-on back then than he is now, but I joined his agency, go on Zoom, and within the first day, I learned more about life insurance than I did in the previous 4 weeks with the other two companies. And we just hit it off like that. He used to have 2 classes a day, and like he was really into it, an hour each day. So it just fit. I was immersed in it. I had his YouTubes on wherever I went, outside, bathroom, whatever. I had to listen to his voice the whole time. But I'm sitting here talking to you guys now, and I don't have to worry about paying any bills ever. So I'm very thankful for that. And that's pretty much how I became to be a dig agent.
So I'm curious, and I appreciate you sharing that. Did you do final expense because it was what I was doing?
Yeah.
Or did you start researching it after the fact?
Nah, no clue about life insurance. I had no idea about it. He said, come do final expense. I took care of my grandparents till their mid-90s, so I was around a lot of older people my whole life, ever since I was a kid, so I kind of meshed with them. I have the same mindset, I guess, and deal with old people. I'm great with that. Let's do it. So
now you started off buying leads with us. Tell us a little bit about your experiences with buying leads.
Truthful?
Please be truthful. Yes, we want the truth.
Okay. I first started buying inbound leads where They watch a commercial on TV, and then there's the 800 number or the 888 number, and they call in and you answer the phone. That's something else. That costs a ton of money, a ton. And anyone could call at any time, whether they're, old people, they still have the same habits as when they were younger. So they're sitting on the couch, drinking away, smoking, whatever it may be. Oh, this is a good idea. Look at this commercial. We need life insurance. Let's call up. Meanwhile, there's no intent. They just want to get, because it's a spontaneous purchase, essentially. They're all drunk, sitting on the couch. We need life insurance. Let's call Chris up. Okay. Chris takes the call. Sure, Mrs. Jones, Mr. Jones, that's a great idea. Let's sign you up. The alcohol wears off a couple of days later. What the hell did we do? Why are we paying all this money for this life insurance policy? And then they cancel, essentially. So, and you don't know who's calling you with inbound leads. Anyone could call you and say, I'm Mary, I'm Tom, whoever it is. So it was an expensive venture that didn't pan out for me.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of agents over the years have asked about TV leads. Or where you sit around and have the leads call you.
Yeah.
And we've tried this a couple of times. And
I'm out of fingers.
Yeah.
So we tried. Yeah. So
with Chris.
Yeah.
And it's repetitively a very difficult lead to work. The first issue is that when are the leads going to actually dial in? You have no control over that because there's other agents who are also waiting on leads.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't control your activity as much. Okay. And then the other issue with it is there's also these inbound leads to where they're generated from data. They're not from a TV lead.
Yeah.
And a lot of that data doesn't have really good intent. And a lot of these call centers that are originating these calls and live transferring them to you don't follow the TCPA guidelines. There are people who are on the DNC call list that they will call and send to you. And guess who they're suing? Not the guy in Pakistan. It's Chris, the agent, right? So there's been a lot of TCPA violation lawsuits for this very reason. And these are some of the reasons why I don't endorse an inbound lead. Not to mention TV leads, very expensive. We're talking 65 minimum, $70+ dollars.
We're at 102.
Yeah, we're at 102 at our highest. So imagine having a call and they're, on their fifth of whiskey, right? And then you hang up in 30 seconds and you blew $100. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. It's a pretty
and people do call up for other things such as car insurance, Medicare. Meanwhile, the commercial has a woman on her deathbed, essentially in the hospital with oxygen in her nose. But some guy will call up. I got a brand new Toyota Camry. It's in great shape, and boom, there's $100 right out of my pocket. It's like, all right, thanks, Mr. Jones.
So what did we switch to? Let's talk about the outbound strategy.
Yeah, so outbound lead, at least for me, everyone's different, but at least for me, it comes with a greater intent. Like you're calling somebody, they could be driving, cooking food, cleaning, whatever it may be, playing with the dog. And now they're listening to you do your script on how they need this life insurance policy and how they filled out the information, and I'm getting back to them. So it becomes a little bit greater intent for me, at least, because I stopped them from doing what they were doing instead of them just getting drunk on the couch. And I have so many stories about that, but anyway, so when you stop them in their tracks from what they're doing, you have a better chance of it becoming a real application that stays on.
And I think the other thing too is with outbound, you control your time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, you got to call people, but it doesn't matter if you're doing inbound or outbound, you're going to get screamed at.
Oh,
you're going to get cursed out. They're going to say nasty things to you.
Oh,
welcome to telesales. But with outbound, you don't have to sit and wait for the inbound people to send you a lead with 100+ other agents, 1,000+ other agents. And with your more control of time means more opportunity for what? Presentations, which will result in hopefully more sales. So again, our team mostly is outbound. And that's what our free lead agents do, our telesales agents do. And it gives them the freedom to work as hard as they want to, where they wouldn't get that with inbound.
Like if you want to supplement your lead source and get some inbound leads, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, there is. Well, imagine you're working outbound and then that $100 inbound comes in and you can't get it.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little unique. So
yeah, I know. But still,
I'll figure it out. But you can, like you said, you can supplement if you're like, oh man, I don't want to make phone calls. My fingertips are toast. You can, once you get experienced, I would say. I wouldn't do it off the bat.
Yeah.
I would have a couple of applications in there. It's just to break up the monotony. Me, I'm hardened at this point. Since I was a teenager, I was doing phone sales, so I'm a little different than most. I could dial all day and listen to people scream and yell at me, want to kill me, kill my family, but we just move on. I mean, everyone's tough over the phone. So
yeah, and outbound will get you tough.
Oh yeah,
well, you have to be tough, guys. I mean, it's
mentally, all I do is take rejection, like literally on a consistent basis. So I'm excellent at it. But it's not all roses, put it that way.
Any questions on that leads here? Let's start with you.
No.
Are your outbound leads generated by referral cards, that sort of thing, where people are sending in a card and saying, yeah, I'm interested in this product or something?
No, I don't. That's more like a direct mailer lead, usually more for face-to-face. I mean, have called them before, but they're very expensive if you're going to go down the independent agent.
You don't do direct mail if you're doing telesales.
Yeah.
The acquisition cost is higher, and about a quarter of the leads don't even have a phone number.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just wipe those off. Now, if you're face-to-face, you can door knock those.
Yeah.
You can still work them that way. That's why they're still viable. But for telesales, a cheap, high volume lead, like from Facebook, that's what all of our agents do for the most part. That's what you want. Questions? So why? I mean, obviously you do telesales because you've had the experience doing it. What was your feeling or reaction to the idea of doing face-to-face? Because this is a common question, agents. I think you asked it earlier. Why telesales? Why not face-to-face?
Well, I did face-to-face in other industries. So, a lot of people don't keep a very nice home. Only some do. So male, female, whatever color your skin, it don't matter. It's the same. So I have walked into more than enough homes where I'm not even putting down my briefcase. I'm not sitting down. I'm not, it looks like the Addams Family home, essentially. And you don't know if you're going to walk out of there or not. Like, you're getting ready. Like, your fists are going. You got the knife, if you got the knife on you. So, and that's me. Imagine, a woman or someone, like, it's so, the smells of certain homes. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but it's just that I'm thankful I'm able to do it over the phone instead of going some. You should keep more business face to face because they're actually seeing you, and than you would over the phone. So that is a good thing about face to face. And if you like to get out there, and like David Heath, you can't stay in one room like I can for 12 hours or 14 hours. I mean, essentially you are an inmate without the violence, but you just have to get comfortable with that. Once again, you're in the friendly confines of your home. You can go to your garage. You can go to your backyard. You could take a break whenever you want. You could screw around with the dog, whatever it may be, and then go back to your office and do that thing. Some people aren't capable of that, so they have to go face to face. To each his own, essentially.
So at some point, we switched to a free lead program. Chris was actually one of my first agents on a free lead program.
I'm the guinea pig for everything.
Yeah, we test a lot of stuff out in Chris.
Yeah.
So we moved from him buying leads to getting free leads. Yeah. What was that transition like? Because a lot of people think buying leads is the best opportunity. But for some people, free leads are best.
When you buy leads, you have to do your due diligence. So now you have to take on another job. You have to talk to the lead company. How do they get their leads? What are the analytics of the leads? Like you're taking on a second job when you're buying your own leads. With the free lead program, I set it and forget it. Like, I don't need to worry about any of that. I don't need to worry about payment. How the payment's coming out, my ROI, my return on investment, like David Heath was talking about. So there's a lot less weight taken off your shoulders when you do the free lead program than when you pay for your own leads and you want to be your own independent agent. I'm going to knock this out of the park and we're going to be so great and just zeros are going to be on the checking account all the time. And so the free lead program does give you a sense of, I guess, guaranteed, like you're guaranteed that these leads are going to be on a consistent level, and you don't have to shop around to 2, 3, 4, 5 lead companies. Because if you just have one lead company as a regular independent agent, they usually don't last that long. You need to have many different forms of lead companies to be successful, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, the downside to taking a free lead program is you're on a lower commission. And I fought this for years because mentally I'm a buy my own leads and have a higher contract. That's just how I think. But when we started the free lead program in our agency in September, our agents in the free lead program write more business. The emotional roller coasters of like dropping $1,000 a week in leads or more, it's gone.
More than that.
Like the agents that are in there, they all they do is focus on selling, and it frees up this thing that if you look on paper, it makes sense. But when it's taken away, it frees you up to do more of what you're good at. And I think in business, you need to focus and do more of the one thing that you're really, really good at. And for a lot of people, it's just selling. And that's okay. Even if you're at a lower contract, freeing up that headspace to do really well. And again, this comes completely counterintuitive to me because I would never have done this. We see agents performing way better.
Yeah.
That don't have to worry about buying leads. And Chris has been doing it for a number of years too. And I'm sure to some extent, not worrying about dropping $1,000 every week.
Well, it was like $2 or $3 a week.
Yeah, it was a little bit more.
Yeah, I was down $25,000 8 weeks or something like that.
And I'm not saying that buying leads is a bad idea. It's just for more people, I believe now free leads is right for most agents.
It's pretty much stress-free when you go to the free lead program. Yeah, you won't make as much money as you would an independent agent, but you don't have nearly half the things to worry about that you do. I'm telling you right now, a lead company is only good for a certain amount of time, and then you have to go to a different one. If you want to generate your own leads by yourself, that's a whole nother job. So now you have to do the life insurance, then you have to generate your own leads. And you'll still make money even with the free lead program. You'll be able to pay your bills.
I did. You brought up a really good point. So you can self-generate your leads on Facebook. We're going to have Oscar in to talk about that. It works really well. But if you're a new agent, trying to juggle the skill set of how to sell successfully with the skill set of how to generate leads, that is hard because it's not easy to generate leads.
No.
If you get good at it, it's a great skill. I mean, to drive your lead costs down, to control the quality. Very, very good. But it takes time, and it's certainly not easy. And it detracts from your ability to be successful selling. And as a new agent,
100%,
everything's overwhelming. You got the carriers, you got the sales process, you got this and that.
Your state licensing, your all the things that entails to be a successful agent. Well, your Kixie dialer. I mean, you need the tools. Carpenter needs tools to be a good carpenter, just like you need the tools to be a good telesales agent. So
I think simplifying is the key to success early on. Again, not too simple though. We don't want, in my opinion, one company. There's problems with that. That's too simple. So there are extremes in both ends. But
you have to learn.
Simpler is better.
Yeah, you have to learn all the carriers, their policies, their underwriting, because each company frowns upon certain medications that others take, certain health conditions. So you have to be immersed in that as well. So how many things are you going to be able to do when you first start, even the first 6 months? I was a disaster. Learn from my mistakes, folks. I made a ton. So, and it would only help you. I'm here to help you, not hurt you with that aspect. But
questions from the audience?
Yeah, free lead programs. Yep.
Let me come to
and others, but yeah, I do. I have a bunch of stuff now, but free lead programs good.
So, what's your schedule like a day?
Well, I live in Texas, so Central Time Zone. I start at 8 a.m, and I go until my girlfriend tells me that I got to stay. No girlfriend, I'd be working 14 hours a day easily, easily. So
I need more work out of you, Chris. You know that, right?
Huh?
I need more work out of you.
Yeah, I know.
How many dials?
How many dials?
Oh, well, see, now we have a dial, like the Kixie dialer. So you could dial, if nobody answers the phone, you could dial 400 numbers in a matter of 40 minutes nowadays. But go back to old school and you're doing it manually and you're triple dialing. People, 300 calls a day, give or take, easily, 200.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot. It's not. Most people don't pick up the phone.
Yeah, most people don't pick up the phone. You just listen to the phone ringing and then voicemails.
So, Neil, did you have a question?
I didn't, but I just thought of one. So with the Kixie dialer or versus dialing by hand, when you were doing the just dialing
I still do everything, but
Isn't there an advantage to leaving a message, or would you leave a message, or
you would
would you
think,
feel
but I've only had one person call me back in the last 3.5 years.
It's a waste of time.
Yeah. So if I had, a better track record with that, then yeah, I'd be like, hey, leave your message all the time. But it's not enough to really.
So I'm totally new at this. So what is a Kixie dialer?
That is good.
Oh, they're going to be up here talking about it.
About it.
Yeah, you can ask them all.
Excellent. Excellent. Question over here.
What is your cadence on your calls?
Well, it depends on the lead.
Okay.
It depends if the lead, like the free leads, might have a hobby or something. But I usually just start out, I was getting back to you about the final expense information you filled out. Something short and sweet to the point, because they'll still hang up on you real quick. Like you can say burial insurance, final expense insurance, life insurance, the information you filled out, not use their name. You say, hi, I was getting back to you about the information that you requested. There's 10 million ways to start a first line. It's just whatever is comfortable coming out of your mouth, essentially.
Questions?
Just a follow-up.
Yeah.
So when you're doing the calls, is there an advantage to doing like a follow up? Like, let's say you called, no one answers, and then you send a postcard saying, "Hey, sorry I missed you. I called." Any of that?
Not with the telesales. You would call that person. You try to call that lead 2 to 3 times a day, depending on when you start. Morning, afternoon, and evening. Triple dial. If you have the Kixie dialer, it doesn't triple dial, but it does quantity. So you'll just keep on going. You can call that person like 5 or 6 or 7 times throughout the course of the day, and then hopefully they answer at some point in time and say.
So Chris and I sat down yesterday and did a filming of his sales call. So we're going to release this out over time on the YouTube channel. Some real life sales calls. So I think those are instructional and helpful. Yeah, wait till you hear it.
Oh yeah. I did tone it down to make it G-rated. Usually it's way R-rated. Like way it gets real.
It started G. It went to R after about an hour.
Well, it comes out. Adidas pants, white T-shirt, and Crocs. Remember, I live in the tropics, so I'm good to go there. That's pretty much my daily driver. So
he does put pants on though. So
yeah, Adidas pants.
Civilized man.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to talk about some sales stuff that I think some basic sales training would be useful, right, for the phone. So some stuff I noticed yesterday you're using that I thought was pretty good. You said a lot of the times, wouldn't you agree? Or don't you agree? Kind of explain what that is. And
can you hear me okay? Wouldn't you agree? It's just, I want them to have their attention. So I have to try to quiz them. Did you even listen to the last sentence I said? Did you listen to the last 2 sentences I said? So I'm like, wouldn't you agree with something like that? And what, they're going to say no? They could say no. And I'd be like, well, how do you mean? And I'll use one of his rebuttals. It's really, you just have to get comfortable with the rebuttals, but you should always check in with that person when you're talking to them after 30 seconds or a minute and
10 seconds.
Well, yeah, there you go. That's the boss. They'll have you. Listen to him. After 10 seconds.
I mean, what is our client doing at home? After about 10 or 15 seconds, you can't engage them. They're looking outside. They're cooking dinner. They're on the toilet.
The neighbor just came outside. Yeah. Oh, I got to see what they're doing.
And you can't see that.
Yeah.
And so you have to check in with them. You got to ask them questions. You have to engage them.
Yes.
And when you do that, it kind of trains them to pay more attention to you, right? Because if not, something else will distract their attention. Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Yeah. Don't you agree?
All right.
Something like that. And I usually do, instead, you're not going to say, how are you doing? It's such a blanket. It's a bullshit statement. So I say, can you hear me okay? Which I really want to know if they can hear me okay. And it lets them respond to me, and I get their attention with that, essentially. So, because if they can't hear you good, the odds of you writing an application with them just drop dramatically. Like the phone, people are very skittish on the phone. So you have to try not to have the animals doing the opera in the background. Try not to, have the baby crying, if, as best as you can, because people want to think that you're in an office setting, essentially, and they don't really want you to be at home and you're vacuuming as you're trying to sell them an application or whatever.
And your Crocs.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So, okay.
Standard issue, man. Come on.
I know, of course.
Yeah.
So do your exact script in the tonality that you do when you start the call, because I want everybody to hear the presence you have.
Well, it just like I said to Kelly, really, it's that I don't necessarily always use their name. I just come out, but you could say, "Hi, Kelly, this is Chris. I was getting back to you about the life insurance information you filled out. I have your date of birth here as 9/2/1943. Is that correct?" And they'll say, "Yes." I'm like, I have you here located in Louisiana. Yes. How do you like it over there, Kelly? And I just, start the conversation like that. Because if they don't like you, you're toast.
The point I was trying to make is the tonality really matters when you're on the phone. Okay, there's two different schools of thoughts here. You need to be upbeat, which Chris is. He's usually even a little bit more upbeat when he's on the phone.
You have to act. You have to be an actor, actress. You can't just come across. You have to change your personality.
You're performing on stage.
Correct.
You are. So there's that upbeat ShamWow guy, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the kind of boring, drab, kind of monotonous style.
Hi, Kelly. I was getting back to you about the information.
We did a video.
Click. Like,
now there's agents, Josh Dosay, right? Josh, did you listen to his video? He's real monotone. And that guy writes 8,000 plus a week.
There you go.
So you can make it work, and everybody kind of has a personality. The one way or the other is my theory. My point is embrace it, but you got to perform the script. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And the not caring style.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that? Like, what does it mean not to care?
You don't sound very consumed. So like you're just giving. How is it giving you information?
You're doing your job, man.
Job, yeah, things out. You're not pushing too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do that in this industry, unfortunately.
No, they do it. They do it.
Well, I push too hard.
Oh, push too hard.
Yeah.
Different. Okay.
Like, if we're going to sell a car, if we're going to sell a stock, I'm pushing away. Life insurance, you could push, but they'll just not pay in a month or two or three.
The policy that stays is the policy that pays. Thank you. Yes, we must watch my videos. Good. Thank you. Okay, so tonality, which covered that. You like to use the term "something is better than nothing."
Yes.
Where do you use that line?
I use that line when they come at me with, "I want $50,000. I want $100,000. I want $1 million." Well, 75. Oh, sure. So everyone wants so much, especially in the states that have a higher cost of living, such as California, New Jersey, New York, states. Okay, a little bit. Colorado. They think that if they can't get 40,000, if they can't get 30,000 or 50,000, that's it. Game, set, match. We're done. I'm done here. So I tell them, you give them a relatable story, short and sweet. You don't want to talk too much about yourself, but Mrs. Jones, I had to pay for 2 funerals in my lifetime, and I lost somebody I loved, and I had to go into debt now. I was like, so something is better than nothing. Even if you leave somebody $1,000, it's better than zero. Wouldn't you not agree with that, Mrs. Jones? And I say, if somebody had even $1,000 for me when I had to pay for my uncle's funeral, I would have been extremely thankful. So with that being said, Mrs. Jones, most people start small. Let's start small. Just get you approved with a small little 2,000, 5,000, whatever it may be, policy. And then if you want to add more and you're comfortable with that payment, we could always add more. But like I said, Mrs. Jones, something is better than nothing. Don't leave your family with zero money available when you pass away. It's not right for them. It's not right to you. And you just go on.
Why do people buy life insurance? Peace of mind, right? $40,000. You may not necessarily need that to get peace of mind, right? So sometimes you have to develop that perspective with your clients so that maybe 10,000 is enough, right? So,
and you can go into, well, do you need $40,000 because you want to cover a mortgage? You need $40,000 and you put it on them. Well, if you don't need to cover a mortgage, you don't need to cover blah, blah, blah. So you just need stuff for a cremation or a burial, right, Mrs. Jones? So then why don't we look at those numbers instead of looking at the unrealistic numbers? Like some people just come in and they're just so unrealistic that it's like, it's great. Like the guy that calls me up, I need a $200,000 policy. I'm 77 years old. Come on.
Only $50 a month. And I'm not.
Yeah, I got to keep it under $25 a month. Sure, even if you were 25 years old, that doesn't exist. So,
And I've got cancer.
yeah, right, exactly. Don't give me none of that 2-year waiting period. Well, I have liver and kidney disease. Okay, sure, Mr. Jones. So you just have to speak to them nicely, of course, but try to make their unrealistic expectations realistic.
And that's
as
real.
best you can.
And that's what makes a good salesperson, right? It's helping them see that something is better than nothing.
Yes.
So 2 things that I think are interesting here that people may not agree on. What's your thoughts on selling guaranteed issue?
Yes. Once again, you might find another agent that completely disagrees with
one second. For the audience, guaranteed issue is no questions asked insurance. We sell this when the client is in bad shape. They can't qualify normal underwriting. So imagine somebody who's in very bad shape. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, no matter what age.
Right.
Bad shape. So there is a reason why they're in bad shape health-wise. Just because somebody is skinny and they look good doesn't necessarily mean they're healthy as well. I've learned that the hard way. Guaranteed issue, they're not healthy. And like Jack was saying, that policy term to 100 is for people that most likely won't live 20 years. So that's what this guaranteed issue is. It's for a peace of mind. But remember, people that aren't healthy usually pass away in a faster manner than the others. So
what's your experience been writing it based on that?
It's not been that good. They don't really live 2 years. And if they don't live 2 years, you get a charge back. So you spent all your time writing that application, however many months ago or a year and a half ago. And, time is money. There's only so many hours in a day to do your job. And you write those policies and then they pass away and now you have a charge back. Or they're in bad health, but not only they're in bad health, they're in bad financial health as well. So then you write the policy and then they can't pay for it. It does cost more, just like car insurance. If you're a bad driver, your car insurance is going to be more. If you're in bad health, your life insurance payment is going to be more. So I find that they really can't pay consistently enough and they really don't live long enough for it to benefit me. There might be people out there where it might benefit them, but at least for me, I kind of, unless they beg me to write the application, I kind of just let it go. And El Jefe heard me a couple of times yesterday, I let it go. So you're not going to see me up there with 50 applications anymore because I learned my lesson, 50 apps a week or 20 apps a week, because I could do it, but it usually kicks me in the butt in the future.
It is interesting. So I've been doing this since 2011. I've come across really good agents that refuse to sell guaranteed issue because their not their feelings, the experience they have is that it lapses more often. I'll give you an example. There's an agent that worked with me on Telesales. His first year persistency, that's how much of your business stays on for at least a year. For level first day coverage, that's the best plan we sell, 85%, pretty good. And he was Telesales. But for guaranteed issue, 50%. So he's losing half of that business and ended up having chargebacks that he had to pay back. And so this, to me, it never was a problem for me when I was selling in the field. Like, I'd write a good bit of guaranteed issue and it would stay on the books. So it's like a case by case thing. And so my point in mentioning this is really just to share this with you, to something to watch, to consider. Especially, I think it's probably more prevalent with Telesales. That's what I've observed. And if you find you're running into a lot of issues, guaranteed issue, first of all, could you have written them first day full coverage, right? Because if you can get them first day full coverage, then you might not have lost that if it was guaranteed issue. Well, if you're losing guaranteed issue, they may be getting replaced. That may be the issue. So this is more reason to be independent, writing multiple carriers than a captive agent. So that's one issue. But the second issue is, even if you're doing everything right, you have issues, look, just pull away from it. Like, if it's causing you a lot of admin burden, it's pulling you out of the field or off of the phone to sell, you're losing money in a different way, right? From an opportunity cost standpoint. Does that make sense, everybody? So to me, it's something that you develop over time after doing this for 6, 12, 18 months. And then you decide. Some people won't write credit card or debit card business like Direct Express for the same reasons.
Yeah.
So, again, more of an intermediate issue that you'll eventually develop. Last question. We'll take some questions from the audience. What do you think about selling policies under $30 a month?
Oh, shit. Listen, folks.
There you go. Need you say more? Yeah. What?
Yeah,
So
I will. I do.
What's the problem with writing those small policies?
Usually, once again, there's always exceptions, okay? But usually the people that have the lower amounts that they pay monthly are more customer service needy. For whatever reason, the lower policies, the 15, the 20s, they're calling me all the time like I'm their best friend. The people that have policies 100, 200, 500, 1,000 a month, I don't hear anything from them. So it's just my journey through life insurance that I could tell you. Like I said, another agent might be like, Chris has no idea what he's talking about. But this is my journey, and this is what I've come to see. And I have people in Alaska that have to ride a snowmobile an hour to get me to call me. And this lady has a $30 a month policy. And she calls me, she goes, what else could you tell me? And the true story, I said, there's many agents in Alaska, especially where you live, that could take care of you and service you. She goes, nah, she goes, I'm gonna deal with you. I was like, I'm not licensed in Alaska. Get licensed in Alaska. Okay, sure. I get licensed in Alaska. She calls the Department of Insurance. There's one lady in charge, and she only takes emails, but she actually called. And the Department of Insurance lady calls me and says, could you tell your henchmen not to call me anymore? Because she was taking too long to appoint me to the state of Alaska. So it's very, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So with that being said,
Yes.
I don't like small policies because they do become a hindrance, like whether they want to change their beneficiary, whether their banking information. Oh my God. I can't even tell you how many people that pay, like, have no money, their banking information is stolen on a consistent basis. Once again, whether they make it up or it's truthful, I just tell them, listen, I don't know why people are going after your bank account when there's $2 in it. Okay, let's redo your credit card or your debit card, your Direct Express card. So just to put it in a nutshell, I find that I have to waste a lot more time, and it's there are more issues with the.
What about guaranteed issue policies that are $20 a month?
No, they don't exist, thankfully. Usually they're higher price, but for it to be a guaranteed issue, I have to feel like you're not going to pass away in the next 2 years. You have to be somewhat attentive over the phone and not sound like you're half dead. Like, there's people that are 40 years old, 50 years old, and hi, this is Chris. I was getting back to you about the burial insurance information you requested. Oh, is this? Like, you think I'm going to write you a policy when you can't even have a conversation over the phone? Imagine if we were face to face. What am I going to carry you to the chair? Like, what? And you're 52 years old. Come on, folks. So,
Any
once again, this is all truthful stuff.
questions from the audience? Opportunity to ask questions. Hold on one second. Got time for one question. Somebody else have a question?
I was just going to ask, as far as with you with the guaranteed issue, do you think the demographic of guaranteed issue has changed from the time you were in the field to today?
No, I think it's the same. I mean, in the field.
When he was in the
We don't seem to see this issue as much in the field.
Yeah, face-to-face is way different, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
Than
I see.
telesales GI issue.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can see them.
Yeah,
so.
that's what I was making earlier. Like, when I was in the field, because I never
Yeah.
sold over the phone to the extent that Chris has or many other agents have. Like, it's different. So again, this
Way different.
Yeah.
You can't see the pillbox over the phone. Well, if I'm Dave and I'm at somebody's house, you could see him get the trough of pills and put them on the table, and you could look at a couple of medications like, oh shit, but I can't see that over the phone. So I can't I'm like, how many medications are you taking, Mrs. Jones? A lot. Is it more than 10? Oh, yes. Okay, Mr. Jones, you have yourself a great rest of the week. It was very nice meeting you. And that I move on. Sometimes El Jefe doesn't like that, but he's got plenty of other agents he can get money from. It's just more. So you have to pick and choose, but you shouldn't do that until you are experienced. My first year and a half, 2 years, I wrote everything. I was on the board, my AP, it's great. But now, like I said, Chris won't win any trips anymore. You won't see me with 30 applications a week anymore, because I kind of learned my lesson the hard way.